Chris.
Heath.
Hey.
This is episode 48 of Mobius Tubes being recorded on September 4th, 2020.
Now, is that just you want to be better safe than sorry, or does it really bother you that we have one episode in which we don't say the title or name?
There was a solid couple days where it was bothering me, but I've since gotten over it.
You could have recorded yourself.
I could have.
Found a lull in the action.
I definitely considered it.
Patched it. Yeah, I know you did. Yeah.
But yeah, this was just to make good on us forgetting the name, what show this was last episode.
I mean, no one. You think Joe Rogan says what his podcast's name is? Well, he does in the music intro.
True.
But who's gonna add their vocals to the da da da? Mobius Tubes.
And the title of the podcast,
video games,
in their RSS feed is Mobius Tubes. I'm sure no one was confused. This is just my OCD.
When can we drop the subtitle?
The subtitle? Oh, you don't like the subtitle?
I don't. I've never been a fan of the subtitle.
Okay. But without the subtitle,
how would they
someone
know?
Could be scrolling by and have no idea what Mobius Tubes is about.
I know, but when I tell my relatives to check it out, they see like Mobius TU ... because it truncates title names that are too long.
Okay. But if it's truncating it after TU, surely if we just shortened it to Mobius Tubes, it would still be getting cut off.
Okay, maybe it doesn't do TU ... Maybe it does like Mobius ... Oddcast.
Oh.
Right? It takes the end of the last part of the last word.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That would be egregious. I don't like that.
Or just like Mobius ... Game Podcast.
Uh-huh.
That's where I'm coming from. Hey, I had an opening bit.
Okay, let's dig into that.
Just to revisit the breakfast thing from last episode.
Sure.
I've been eating more than just eggs.
Okay.
I've been getting some Tuscan garlic bread and throwing that in the toaster and then topping that with eggs.
There's eggs on your toast.
Now is, yes.
Is there anything in between the eggs and toast?
No.
Okay.
I can't believe that I'm trying to meet you halfway breakfast-wise, and you're still like, you don't put anything between the toast and the eggs? Like, give me a break. I'm trying to be normal.
Well, at least you have some carbs in there now.
It needs something.
Maybe you just put a little dollop of sauce or something on top.
What? Like a condiment? No.
Yeah.
Chris, what are you?
I'm thinking like some spice, maybe.
I've committed some breakfast sins in the past, but I'm not gonna scrape some saffron onto my. Let me go at my own pace. Who knows? Maybe come next episode, I'll be like, so I'm using a Russian dressing.
All right, yeah. Who knows where your breakfast will go?
Yeah.
Heath.
All right, talk about which games you want to talk about today.
Well, Heath, you gave me a sneak peek of your video game playing about a week ago, and I think I'm actually more excited to hear about the games you've been playing than the ones I've brought.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to start with that?
Yeah. So I played the Hitmans.
Okay.
The 2016 Hitman.
Right. The soft reboot.
And I played the first 3 missions.
Okay.
I played the France fashion show. I played the Moroccan embassy.
Sapienza? No.
And I also played
Sapienza.
Science Lab in
Italy.
Pizza, Italy, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I touched the Thailand hotel mission.
All right. I have not made it to the 4th mission.
Nor should you. So here's where this is coming from, folks. My main takeaway is what a awful game. And I look at Super Bunny Hop's breakdown and Game Maker's toolkits like, how lovingly IOI Studios puts in all the fine details. And meanwhile, yes, you can have the greatest intentions, but if I'm going through missions and regularly bumbling through it, and initially I wasn't quick loading, I would start the mission over again. And wait for dialogue to happen. He's got to walk over to that water bottle, sip it, walk over to the edge, have the phone call that is a progression blocker. And I'm just sitting there. I can't range quit far enough for this Hitman game to just chug along. I recommend this to no one. Or no, wait, I was going to have a funny thing to say. I don't know, just people that love watching paint dry.
All right, Heath. Forget adding some added heat to your eggs. This hot take is spicy enough as it is.
Don't get burned.
Yeah, these games were critically acclaimed, almost universally praised. Did I hear you right? Did you say you weren't saving as you go? Every time you messed up?
No.
Every time you messed up, you would restart the mission?
If I got spotted and I couldn't, because I'm not trying to kill people on these missions with the exception of the targets, right?
Right, that would be ideal.
I followed the Chris school of Dishonored, quiet as a mouse.
Stealth gaming, yeah.
So when these guards try to frisk me and I forgot to throw my pistol into the garbage can, even though in Sapienza there's tons of garbage cans, but they can't be dumped into. I don't know why. So backwards the user experience of Hitman is. You know, they want you to be stealthy, but also there's just cockamamie, like, insert your explosive device on this news camera and kill him that way. I don't know. I also played the training mission to completion. I did like all the challenges.
Okay.
You'd think that would equip me for the rest of the game, but for the rest of the game, all these 3 missions that I did, I could only successfully poison people. I couldn't do, and here's the thing, right? Because there's opportunities where if you're like, you can't walk past a guard without them saying, "Oh, did you hear the ejector seat on the jet is malfunctioning? Make sure you get the monkey wrench and before the VIP sits in it."
Yeah.
And then the James Bond woman is like, "Looks like the ejector seat has yet to be repaired, Agent 47." And it's like, wow, you could not be done. And they are just beating you over the head with follow the script. You know how people were criticizing Red Dead Redemption as like, oh, I'm an actor in this story and I got to play my role. This is the most Screen Actors Guild role-playing game I've ever, like, it's...
All right, that most recent criticism I'm going to take issue with. How you say it's very scripted on rails. I think the game is made with the opposite intention. These are open-ended sandbox levels you're entering. And yes, you're right. There will be like very authored, intended ways for you to go about killing the target. But the beauty of the game is there's got to be dozens of different ways to do it. And you kind of got some exposure to that during the tutorial where there's like a billion different challenges where if you take out the target with certain criteria, it'll kind of like check the checkbox for you. So I guess this is something I struggled with too, because I started playing the game. I have not finished it. I kind of bounced off it. You can eliminate the enemy target in a plethora of different ways, be it guns blazing or a bomb in a suitcase
drop
or poison.
a chandelier on them.
Right.
The most appealing way to do it were accidents.
Yes, that's fun.
That's the most, like, I can just walk right out because no one's suspicious because you just watched him get impaled by a swordfish.
And you're already across the room and just an innocent bystander, allegedly. But the game will go to some lengths to like put a potential solution right in front of you, one that they've scripted dialogue around, be it the ejecting from the plane in the tutorial, or in the Sapienza one, there's like a subplot about you becoming the cook. That's like a route to poison people.
I'm the new KitchenAid chef. You're late. Who cares? Finish the spaghetti sauce, and then you throw poison in the spaghetti sauce.
And they put those predetermined solutions kind of in front of you, and you can follow them to the completion. But you don't have to. You can like invent your own fun. And what I was struggling with was, okay, if they've kind of like revealed a solution to me, I could just do that and move on with my life. And I know their intention with this is kind of a weird game design philosophy. They want you replaying these levels over and over again to get weird with it, to experiment with your assassination attempt. But I'm kind of like, okay, if you've already shown me a solution, why wouldn't I just do that again? And I guess you feel similar to that?
Yeah, let me just do an analogy of what you just said. They put these potential pathways right in front of you, and you have the choice of doing them or having your own fun.
Yeah.
And I liken it to trying to complete a puzzle, but being like, it wants me to put these pieces together because they fit and the image matches. But let's see if we can make a new image, and the puzzle will fight you every turn if you were trying to like jam these jigsaws together and they're not built for it. So I think that the Hitman games, unless you are following the authored opportunities, it's going to be pretty miserable. And it doesn't even feel good. Like when I'm dragging a body to a closet, I should just be able to like kick open the door behind me, but I have to like turn and look at it for the Y prompt to open the door. And like, I just wish there was some urgency. Like if I'm in a chase, I should be able to sprint off of a ledge or through a doorway and not have to like stand at it, open, continue sprinting. You know, it's super clunky, and I'm not sure if that's Eurojank. Define for the kids what Eurojank is.
For a while there, a lot of games coming out of Eastern European game developers would have a certain level of the opposite of polish, little bugs, little glitches, and that's come to be known as Eurojank. Although I think in recent years, they've kind of raised the bar for quality coming out of Eastern Europe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. CD Projekt.
Yeah.
Wait, Poland's not. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it
is. Okay, yeah.
It's Eastern Bloc.
Yeah. In conclusion, I didn't even have notes really. I described it as monotonous Groundhog Day, waiting for unskippable dialogue, waiting for phone calls, and then the tease that were the challenges where it's like, oh, kill your target by dropping a moose statue on them. I'm like, okay, I could figure that out, but then I gotta go kill the other target. You know, I would watch in the top left, it would be like Intel updated, and I would go to it, and it would just be a never-ending list of notifications saying like, this opportunity's expired. You missed the window of opportunity for that one, and I'd be like, well, should I just restart now? So Hitman 3, you can pre-order it.
Yeah.
You could also pre-order your coffin, but I wouldn't do that either.
Okay. Man, pretty damning things. I plan on giving it another shot. I kept feeling like I was inches away from like finding the fun in Hitman. On paper, this concept of it's a highly systemic game. People are on their like clockwork paths. You have to find your window of opportunity to strike and kind of get creative with your solution. That sounds like a lot of fun, but I just couldn't quite get there.
I think it might be the controls. Like if you're in a high stakes situation, it takes so many buttons just to slide down a pole or drop out of a window. And I look to Splinter Cell Conviction, in which that game, right, if you get spotted, it leaves like a silhouette-y, whispery outline of where your character was last seen, and it doesn't hesitate if you're trying to like. And same thing with the Batmans. If you get spotted with Batman, it gives you tons of opportunities to evade detection.
Right.
In this game, it doesn't do that. I guess because you have so many disguises. Why are you getting spotted in the first place? And then you also have a gun.
I suspect you were probably making it more punishing than it was intended to be by forcing yourself to start the level from the beginning whenever you messed up.
I only started quick loading like this halfway through the second mission.
I think the game, if you like bump up the difficulty to hard, it won't let you quick load.
Oh yeah. You gotta do it in one go. Same thing with those friggin' elusive targets.
Elusive targets, right. Those limited time targets.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're playing on like easier or medium, an intended part of the experience is save scumming, is correcting your errors by loading.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
The game should be designed with that not in mind.
And it is. That's hard mode.
Okay.
Which maybe you have to work yourself up to. I think you were maybe handicapping yourself a little too much. But that's maybe just my perspective, because I have no problem save scumming. I love it.
Like the first time you jump into a mission, you should just write off the chances of killing both your targets. It's mostly there for you to like browse. Well, and it shouldn't be, but it ends up being that. You're basically like scanning the opportunities, which one's going to get me closest. And like, oh, okay, these poster boys are going to get escorted into the school. Okay, I'll do this. And then only then it's like, okay, now I get the lay of the land of where the bad guy actually is. On my next attempt, I'll do it cool, maybe.
Yeah. You could picture that first run as, okay, I'm going to do the job, but I'm going to do it sloppy. And then on the second attempt, when you have the proper intel, you can try to do your cool, no civilian death, super stealth run. Can you also feel, you can like see the fun, it's just out of reach. Do you get that sensation?
There's cool trickery to be had, especially if you like tactfully switch into a disguise to evade this and properly manage your exits.
Maybe the game's too smart and we're the dumb ones.
Maybe we're the dumb ones, yeah.
All right, how about we brighten you up, Heath? What did you have fun playing this week?
I played Into the Breach, and that's your cue to do you.
Oh, you want my Into the Breach update?
Well, you got one, or don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be brief. Last episode, I revisited this little bite-sized tactics game, Into the Breach, by Subset Games. I wanted to get all the achievements because by doing so, you unlock a 9th secret mech squad in the game. I have successfully completed my mission, Heath.
Wow.
I got all of the achievements.
You are good.
I reached a certain point where I couldn't put it down. I was just doing run after run after run because I was honing in, getting closer and closer.
I died in the hive again.
Yeah.
And I'm seasoned.
Now, what made a lot of the achievements easier was putting the game down to easy.
Oh, Chris.
Which I had no shame doing.
I forgot you're a coward.
There's some fun moments that arose from chasing achievements. For example, there's a custom squad, so you can like build your own mech squad. I wanted to take out 2 birds with 1 stone. There's an achievement for making a mech squad.
Of all the same mech type.
Of all the same mech. There's also one for making a squad of all flying guys.
Yeah.
So I just chose 1 flying guy and then did like 3 duplicates of him. And the guy...
Two duplicates of him.
Yeah, 2 duplicates to make a total of 3. I chose the swap mech. All he does is swap positions.
The teleporter guy.
Yeah, he switches spots with an adjacent enemy.
That's interesting.
So you have no firepower. All you can do is just move enemies into like a innocuous position.
The don't kill the volatile Vec mission.
It became super easy.
Yeah.
However, stopping the
train,
protecting the train became impossible.
Yeah.
Because anyone you moved out of the way, you were in the way now. Your only method for killing enemy Vec was
friendly
like
fire,
hovering over a body of water and making them drown, or like over a chasm and having them fall to their death.
Yeah.
They were surprisingly fun, and at least playing on easy, it was actually like really easy.
Well, yeah, they don't give you any alphas.
Yeah. It was a totally different way of playing the game, and I liked getting that perspective by going after the achievement. The most stressful one was for the Blitzkrieg squad. There's an achievement where you have to beat the first 2 corporate islands in under 30 minutes, and that forces you to rush, like really fast. You've got like probably like 1 minute per match to make this work.
Do you? Oh my God.
So you are making lots of dumb decisions that you just don't have the proper time to consider. Yeah, I finished it with, I think, 15 seconds remaining.
And like 1 grid defense block.
Yeah, I think I had like 2 or 3. So that was rough. But
yeah, it's like, great job, Commander. Now you can spend your reputation. And you're just like, oh, okay, desert.
Yes. So I can finally wash my hands of Into the Breach. At this point, one of my favorite games ever, I think.
No doubt, yeah.
I've put in over 40 hours to get all the achievements. And it's free on Epic Game Store right now. Although, by the time you hear this, it probably won't be the case anymore. But I had a great time with it. Did you have more stuff you played, Heath?
No, I just played Into the Breach 2, and I've yet to beat it on my Epic Game Store account.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm playing on an actual adult difficulty. And I started the tutorial for FTL.
Oh.
That's because I was in the subset mood.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where they were introducing ship combat. And it's not too confusing, but it's pretty in-depth.
It is.
FTL is a ship crew management game. You're trying to escape some raiders, and you got to dedicate fuel for your ship's vitals.
FTL, I've played a little bit of it. It's ugly. It's
Yeah.
not nice looking at it.
Yeah, it's ugly.
And even though like Into the Breach won't make you do a double take, like at least it's easy on the eyes.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Maybe if you dive more into FTL and report back that you've found the magic, you love it, I will play it some more then.
They should do a re-release and make it even bigger and call it FTXL because it's bigger.
Yeah, I wonder what subset's working on now.
Because Into the Breach came out
early
100
2018.
years ago.
Yeah. It definitely feels like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. I have two more games to talk about. They're relatively short. So I know all of our listeners are dying to hear about Forza Horizon 3, the Hot Wheels expansion.
Chris, you got to tell us about the Hot Wheels.
This is like a DLC pack for Forza Horizon 3, a game that is shortly going to be delisted. So if you like going vroom vroom, maybe consider getting this game. So the DLC, they take you to this Hot Wheels island. There are the iconic bright orange rubbery tracks.
How do they take you to the island? Are you in a big car carrying helicopter or a ship?
Oh man.
Like a shipping container, you just bust out of your box and then you're on the track.
I want to say it just faded to black and then reappeared and you're on the island.
Okay.
Nothing that cool. So it's like they're doing gravity-defying tracks. There's loop-de-loops. There's big jumps. There's speed boosts. Stuff you don't usually find in Forza, which makes it goofier, makes it more arcadey. I was hoping this would be like the pinnacle of fun in Forza. However, I've actually found a few things holding it back. One of the cool considerations during a Forza race in the base game is you're on pavement, you're going off-road, and depending on what kind of surface you're driving on, your car will handle a little bit differently. And that's a consideration. The rubbery tracks you race on in the DLC are all totally uniform. So there's a little less going on, a little less mental adjustments you have to do when you're rounding that corner. And some of your reels are slipping off the pavement.
Because you've been trained in the real world that is Forza's main game, you're probably overcompensating on the orange in areas, right?
Overcompensating.
Like you're steering too early. Like you're steering in a way that would make sense on the reality track. Oh, okay.
That's
fine.
an easy enough adjustment. It's just that there's never that variety of, okay, this part of the racetrack is off-road, then I'm back to smooth pavement, then it's a combination. No, it's all just rubber track. One thing that you have to consider is sometimes there's not a guardrail, so you can just go flying off into the ocean.
Wahoo.
Kind of like Rainbow Road. I've also found the DLC to be a little buggier than the main game. There was one race I was doing where you do a big jump and you land on the other side. And this one make and model of car I was using, it just couldn't make the distance.
Oh.
I was going max speed. I was lined up properly, but I would just when I was going down and landing, I was clipping right on the edge of the track and then falling to my death. And to add insult to injury, the car I was using was a Hot Wheels model car for the DLC.
Yeah.
And then when I switched to one of the base game, just random model cars,
sedan,
it worked like a charm. I cleared it with lots of wiggle room. So just something about the Hot Wheels car's low profile made it so it couldn't make that jump. And I had the rewind feature enabled, so I could just go back and try again. And no matter which angle I approached this jump from, It just couldn't make it.
Wow.
And there's some other bugs that occasionally crop up, like the game will pause as if it's trying to catch up to like rendering in front of you, and then everything will like come rocketing back to life after like 3 seconds of waiting mid-race. Yeah, so I guess it's a cool diversion, but I think ultimately I had more fun with the base game than the Hot Wheels expansion.
Okay.
For Forza Horizon 3.
Okay.
Otherwise, I mean, seeing some new Hot Wheel cars, they're fun, they're cool. They've got wacky designs. And the loop-de-loops I enjoy, but other than that, meh. And to close out our kind of mutually disappointing lineup of games, I've got one more to talk about.
Okay.
This one is called Reigns. Reigns as in...
EIGNS?
Yeah, as in a king reigning over a kingdom. It's a little bit older. It's from 2016. It's from the Reigns franchise, of which there's Reigns Her Majesty, Reigns Game of Thrones, but this is the original I'm playing. What does this game look like, Heath? It looks like medieval Tinder.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about this before.
Just in referencing it.
I knew what we were talking about.
Yeah. So this was originally a mobile game. I'd say it used the mobile platform pretty well, just like that user interface is very mobile friendly. I'm playing it on Steam though. What it is you are a medieval king starting in the year 602 AD. You have this like stack of cards in front of you. They represent people, your advisors, people coming to you with a certain dilemma. And you have to make a binary yes or no decision based on what they ask you. So someone might say,
Your Honor, the rival king has, I don't know why I'm Australian, maybe because we just talked about Forza, but the rival king has assaulted Your Honor. Do you want to go attack them?
yes or no.
Yeah.
And then you, like in Tinder, swipe right for yes, left for no.
And if you attack them, I don't know, your army gets damaged.
And you've got these 4 resource tracks that you're keeping track of. You've got your religious stat, your...
piety, military strength, wealth.
And the last one is your like population welfare. Depending on which way you go, they will either adjust up or down. So if the guy asks you, hey, this really gross swamp is killing people, should we spend money to clean it up? If you did, for example, your money would go down, but your population welfare would go up, or vice versa if you said no.
Did you play this game on easy mode?
It doesn't have difficulty settings.
Okay.
So it's also very easy for your king to die.
Oh, yeah.
Each decision you make, which takes all of 10 seconds, represents 1 in-game year. So I have had a king reign for fewer than 3 years.
Oof. Wait, is that RNG then?
That was me intentionally trying to die.
Okay.
A dragon
there was an
killed
achievement.
me.
Yeah.
It was an achievement. You know me like a book. The thing is, when you die, the timeline doesn't reset. So your new heir inherits the throne, but the timeline is continuously progressing. So I'm now past like 1000 AD.
Okay.
And this is like my 20th ruler or something.
Oh.
The longest I've done so far is someone who ruled for like 45 years.
Okay.
The shortest was like 3 years.
Okay.
So, last episode, we talked a lot about this game Heath and I played on Tabletop Simulator called The King's Dilemma. And after playing Reigns, man, whoever designed The King's Dilemma had to have played this game. The influences The King's Dilemma has, it wears it on its sleeve. It is like, there are certain scenarios you're met with in Reigns that are copy and pasted into The King's Dilemma.
Yo, let me copy your homework. All right, but change some of the answers.
Yeah. I don't know if this comparison is like very worthwhile for listeners because probably very few of them have ever heard of, if not played, The King's Dilemma.
Yeah.
But it's a board game that actually you can like go out and buy like a physical copy. It has the same track mechanic. It works the same way in Reigns.
Yeah.
If one of your tracks gets too high or too low, your king is forced to abdicate the throne. So it's a constant balancing act of keeping all of your resources in equilibrium. Now, here's the thing, though. In King's Dilemma, each dilemma was now a new opportunity for a debate to arise, and people would have conflicting viewpoints. They'd have different incentives to vote one way or another. It was a multiplayer affair. This is single player King's Dilemma. So each dilemma, you just go yes or no based on what you want. Instead of each dilemma like dragging on for like a 10-minute conversation, you're in and out in 5 to 10 seconds. So you can just blitz through these. And unfortunately, you see a lot of repeats in Reigns,
no.
which sucks a lot of the fun out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the 4th time I've seen the swamp card come up, and I know what both outcomes do, it's like, great, I just had to read that again. Oh, well. And if it was like once in a blue moon, you get a repeat, fine. But it's like 50% or more of the cards you're reading are duplicates. And depending on certain choices you make, fresh new cards will get shuffled into your deck, which is how like the plot slowly advances over each generation of ruler.
Gunpowder has been invented.
And there are cool, I'm going to call them narrative objectives that you have like an idea of what to do, and they're in your bottom right. So you'll see something like, to advance the plot, I have to somehow start this crusade, or I need to find the spy master, or find the magical frozen blood. So you don't know exactly how to do that when the card comes up, but it's something you're looking for. Your eyes are peeled to fulfill these narrative objectives. And yeah, ultimately, I don't really enjoy the game.
What the heck are you talking about? This sounds great.
The cons are the heavy reliance on duplicates.
Yeah, they only have like 3 different cards, yeah.
And I guess lack of tension, because if you screw up and your ruler dies, you're one button to click away from just like jumping in and resuming right where you left off pretty much.
Okay.
And there's like not a whole lot of progression. It does some cool things that are unique to the video game form that the King's Dilemma could never do. For example, my favorite one so far was this like magical witch lady came up and said, "Hey, I've got a reward for you, but you've got to prove it that you're worthy first."
Oh, so mash this button fast enough, or?
No, that would be boring. It was, I'm going to curse you with the affliction of old age. And if you're still ruling 15 years from now, which is like 15 decisions from now, you'll get your reward. And what old age does is
it makes it like a lot more effort to swipe the cards.
No, you're old, senile, and hard of hearing. So when people approach you with their dilemmas, their text is like partially garbled, as if you couldn't hear them properly.
Okay.
So you're making your yes or no decisions with only like half the story for the next 15, which, I mean, you couldn't on the fly like garble text in a board game, which is cool that they're leveraging that kind of unique idea in this video game implementation. But ultimately, it gets so repetitive that I could see why people like this as a mobile game, but as a like sit down and I'm going to play this for an hour on my PC type of game, it's just too repetitive. I can't. A marathon of this game for me, I'm at my limit by the time 30 minutes have gone by. I have to close it. I'm just done with it. But I could see how if this was on your phone and you're just playing it like in interstitial bursts in a waiting line, that would be a lot more palatable, I would think. So just partially because of the duplicates, partially because of the way I'm playing it, I don't feel comfortable recommending Reigns. It has some cool ideas, but it's just there's not enough going on to captivate my interest.
Don't buy it full price.
Right.
/ don't buy it at all. Wait for it till it's free. Chris, you told me that there's a Game of Thrones version, a base version, and then a spin-off-y version?
Yeah, there's a...
Why don't they just focus on making like a good full version if we're running short on cards?
To be fair, I think Reigns Her Majesty, which is the Renaissance era version of this game, I think it adds some new mechanics like an inventory or things like that.
Okay.
But I'm playing the original base game here, so I haven't seen those quality of life features.
Okay.
Maybe I'll skip to Reigns Her Majesty, since that's also just somehow in my Steam library, and report back if that's any better. But that's all I've been playing the past few weeks.
I watched a movie.
Okay. Yeah, what did you watch?
I watched Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
I've never heard of this film.
This is on Netflix. It is the Ted Bundy story. Do you know Ted Bundy, the serial killer from the 80s?
Yeah.
Or no, he was in the 70s. This is why it's so long ago. The story with Ted Bundy is his case was like the first televised court case. Which was a huge, well, maybe like the first most prolific, I think.
Okay.
No, I think it's the first. Part of why that played into his favor is because Ted Bundy is so charismatic.
Yeah.
He was, you know this.
Right. I mean, that's a common trait among serial killers, right?
Yeah.
Lures them in.
Yeah. He's super charming because he was a law student. So he can like represent himself in his own trial. But he also kills tons of women.
Right.
And he's played by Zac Efron.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
That's funny.
So all of the girls are going gaga, and for good reason, because he's a beefcake.
Now, when you say girls, are you talking about girls in the movie or like girls watching the movie?
Both. I Bailey and I watched it, and then, all of these women jurors are like hot under the collar, even though it's like, look at the bite marks on this corpse. It matches Zach's. My issue with the movie is because the directors pity Ted Bundy.
Oh,
yeah.
They paint him in a sympathetic light?
Oh, it's like poor Ted Bundy. He's getting this dental examination against his will. Or like, oh, don't you feel bad for him? He can't be with his love. I forget her name. Yeah, Ted, even though he's killing tons of women, he falls in love with this one single mother and it stays with them for like 2 years.
Whoa.
It doesn't kill her. But you're asking yourself like, why? Because he's still busy driving to Utah with a body in the backseat. Yeah. And the camera is, like, oh, look at Ted Bundy getting chastised by this police officer. Poor Ted Bundy. And you're like, no, he murdered so many women. So
that's baffling.
That's like, I'm like, I can't believe this movie is painting him in a sympathetic light, like you said. And after the movie ends with just text that says he was on death row for like 10 years. Because apparently when you get sentenced to death, you just wait because there's a line.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself like, oh, why is there a line? Why don't they just keep him going? He prolonged his sentence by giving the detectives little teasers of evidence because he for sure killed all these women. And it just made you think like, wow, the death penalty is so important. Because, okay, Chris, the death penalty is pretty good, right?
It definitely has its pros and cons.
No, because I was like, surely, because he kills so many women. Like,
right. If there was ever a time to use the death penalty.
And you're thinking like, oh, because people are the death penalty, like, what if they escape custody? They're a threat to they're a public menace. They're a threat to society. Ted Bundy escapes twice.
Oh.
In the film, at least.
Interesting.
He jumps out of a courthouse window when the guard's not looking, and then he cuts a hole in the light fixture of his cell and escapes. And it's like, oh my God, had we killed him sooner? But then here's the thing, right? Because this was back in like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Had we not killed him, we would have been able to autopsy his brain. And now this is where it's like, okay, Heath, hold on. Where's your sympathy for the people on death row who are actually innocent? And then like, that's the most solid reasoning for not having the death penalty. But at the end of the deliberation with Bailey, I'm convinced that you can't have the death penalty. Because no matter how, and here goes you're wondering what the title was from. It's a quote from the judge who ruled on the case. Despite how awful it was, and we were looking up, like, is he the most prolific serial killer ever? And he's not, which is like, whoa, chills.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have the death penalty as much as you'd like to, because you gotta know, you gotta autopsy it and be like, all of these super prolific serial killers have a deleted beta gene. And
sorry, I have a question springing to mind.
Okay.
What's preventing you from injecting the lethal shot and then doing the autopsy?
Right. Okay. So, like I said, this was in the 70s, so he got the electric chair.
Oh.
And so now that we have. Can you,
I think lethal injections is the main way that happens now.
Oh, yeah, it's potassium. But you're asking whether or not that interferes with the autopsy?
Yeah.
Maybe it don't.
But an electric chair would, presumably.
Oh, you're scrambled eggs after that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I watched that movie. I would recommend it, but like, talk with the people watching it with you. Like, why does the camera love Ted Bundy?
Because it's Zac Efron.
That answers that question. So that was my week.
Interesting.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about some news.
We sure will.
What's in the news? Are we doing Mario?
Oh, yeah, we'll touch on Mario.
Okay, we'll touch on Mario. Okay.
See you then.
And we're back.
And we're back. Heath, I've got some news. Do you have any news?
I do. I have one news. The Epic Game Store now has a wish list.
Oh, it's about time, isn't it?
I wasn't dying for one. I couldn't even tell you what's on it now. But hey, we're coming there. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a shopping cart.
No, there's not a shopping cart.
You check out in some way.
I see. Yeah. I use wish lists in a weird way when it comes to video games, Heath. If there's any game I just hear of and it sounds vaguely interesting, it immediately gets wish listed.
Do you also like videos on YouTube?
I do, yeah.
That you have a cursory interest?
No, the threshold for liking a YouTube video is pretty high.
Right. Okay. But liking wish listing games.
Right.
That's with reckless abandon compared to your YouTube preservation.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. You're not alone. What's with that?
It is also a high bar for me to upvote something on Reddit. It has to really appeal to me.
And that's weird because with things that cost money like games, you're like, I'll pick that up even though there's like an $11 price tag. For something as free as upvoting or liking on your internet platforms.
Yeah, you could call me a wish list slut.
That has some weight to it. I guess, yeah, I guess that's what we will call you.
The idea is even if I never buy the game, at least I'm like keeping track of this vague interest somehow.
Okay, yeah.
So if later down the line I decide I never want to play it, it's just a matter of removing it.
Right, because there's no FOMO with Reddit.
Yeah.
You're not thinking like, if I don't upvote this, I won't be able to find it again.
Even if you do upvote it, you'll never find it again.
I do save stuff on Reddit, though.
You do?
I do.
This is the only time I've heard of someone using this Reddit feature.
I save stuff.
Wow, I have saved nothing. All right, that's good that the Epic Games Store continues to get basic features it should have launched with.
Do you have any other Epic Games news? Are we going to follow up on that at all?
Let me look at my news.
What was the most recent ruling that Apple can't block the Unreal Engine?
Right. So there are like different tiers to developer tool privileges you can have on the App Store. I think Apple can remove other products made by Epic Games, but what they can't do is remove products that use the Unreal Engine, which is made by Epic Games, but is in no other way associated with them. So if you're just like a small dev who happened to use the Unreal Engine, they can't delist your product.
How do you feel about it?
It would be completely outrageous if they could.
Yeah.
It would be insane if like... You know how ubiquitous the Unreal Engine is. That would be like millions of apps.
Okay, so to people who don't understand video games, what are engines?
They are like basic frameworks
scaffold of
for how you assemble the game. Big ones are Unity, Unreal, Frostbite, Source. Yeah, so all games, they're made up of...
So I use the Unreal Engine because I'm a small game dev.
Right.
And I'm protected.
You will be, yeah.
Okay.
But to give people an idea, all games are made up of assets and source code, and the engine is what ties it all together.
Right. Okay.
Even though you could technically like take all the artwork from the game, strip it out of the engine, and put it in a different engine, and it would still show up as the same artwork, but the way it gets tied together would be different.
Tricky. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that was the sidiest of sides. You got an entree for us?
Yeah, I've got a couple. This one's, maybe not a whole lot to say about it, but Sony has rolled out the first step of pre-ordering a PlayStation 5. And it's not placing the pre-order. It's putting your name in the running to be able to place a pre-order.
A lottery.
A bit of a lottery system, although it's not straight up lottery.
That's very progressive of them.
So the words straight from the horse's mouth, Sony, they are, there will be a limited quantity of PS5 consoles available for pre-order.
Yeah, because we're concerned that we won't be able to manufacture enough.
So we will be inviting some of our existing consumers to be one of the first to pre-order one from PlayStation. Pre-order reservations will be taken on a first-come, first-served basis. So once you get an invite via email, we encourage you to follow instructions and act fast. They ask you to submit your PlayStation profile ID, and they'll put you in for consideration. In the FAQ, there's something really interesting. The first question is, who will be selected to receive an invitation? And the answer is, our selection is based on previous interest in PlayStation activities.
Oh, I was trophies?
So I guess they're tracking who's the most prolific spenders on PlayStation, who's really engaged, and we're going to only let those people pre-order the PlayStation 5.
Okay, so Chris, I'm a filthy casual who heard of God of War and is thinking about getting my son or daughter a PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Seemingly, you won't make the cut.
Because I don't have enough Little Big Planets?
You haven't built up your PlayStation prestige for Sony.
So here, how do they weight it? Imagine, it's just dollars spent across their first party things?
I'm assuming that's a heavy factor, how much you're spending on the marketplace.
What if I just have 10,000 hours of Crash Team Racing?
I'm sure quantity of hours is probably being taken into consideration somehow, but I'm sure the money will speak louder how much you're spending.
Yeah. Anyway, we like this.
It's got its pros and cons.
It's anti-consumer.
So on the one hand, it's probably guaranteeing the people who care the most are probably going to get it first.
Right.
Which is kind of catering to your core fan base.
They deserve it more. No, I can't say that.
Right. It's also this is probably pushing away people who are on the fence, right? Because if you were, hey, I played Xbox last gen, maybe I'm going to switch to PlayStation, and then Sony just says, no, there's no opportunity for you to, they kind of just made the decision for you.
There's the door,
There's
Xbox,
the door,
bro.
You would think the newcomers, the people who are on the fence, are being alienated. That can't be a good business decision, can it?
They're stymieing their Xbox refugees.
Right. Yeah.
But only because they don't think they'll have enough.
Right.
They don't want to gyp their core fans.
The Titanic that is the PS5 pre-order is sinking, and they are saving the most loyal women and children.
With these lottery lifeboats.
Right. It's also interesting that this pre-order is being fulfilled directly by PlayStation, which maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you could ever, in the history of consoles, buy a console directly from Xbox or PlayStation, could you? They're all sold through retail channels.
Oh.
So,
could they bring the price down?
If they don't bring the price down, they're taking a bigger cut because they're not paying anyone to ship the console.
They're taking a huge cut.
Yeah, they're making bank on this. GameStop has to be furious, but here's the thing. I think Sony no longer cares because GameStop's about to die. And retail channels in this pandemic world.
These dinosaurs are furious about this meteor coming down.
Right, yeah. The day of brick and mortar is rapidly becoming more and more irrelevant.
Yeah.
And Sony can finally go to that extra step and alienate their retail partners and just sell it directly, which is interesting.
It's still going to be $500 though.
At
They're
least,
gonna make okay. So Nintendo stock is through the roof, right?
I haven't checked, but presumably.
Yeah, trust me. I'm an industry. My uncle. Anyway, Sony's stock is going to crush if they bring in this much revenue. You said it from me.
Yeah.
I just said it from me. You heard it from me. Decade of the year. Remember when I said that?
Yeah. So that's all I had to say about those pre-orders. Very weird. Should we talk about Nintendo's most recent Direct?
Yeah, they're bringing all the classics back.
Yeah, it's the 35th anniversary of Mario as a franchise. So they're celebrating it in style. It's been over a year since we've had like a proper Nintendo Direct. So we were thirsty for it. Was that all the way back then?
A year ago?
I want to say it was August, September 2019.
No, you're wrong.
Fact check me on that. We'll do it live.
All right, we'll do it live. That's the one, right?
All right, excluding minis, what was the last proper
Animal Crossing in February. That's the franchise specific don't count. Okay, this is saying a year ago.
September
today,
4th, 2019.
A year ago today.
Was the last big, like, proper Nintendo Direct.
This doesn't even show Byleth.
Anyway, there's one thing I want to talk about.
You were right that it is scummy.
Okay, so here's the thing. They're Mario...
pulling a Disney.
There's a new collection coming out that packages together Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
Classics, you could call them.
All the adults are going to go crazy.
And it's in this package called Super Mario 3D All-Stars. And it's a $60 game. It's coming out in like 2 weeks.
Is it?
It's like mid-September,
all right.
Which the lead time on that is super short. Remember when
Origami
King had like a 2-month lead time?
And we were like, that's impossible.
And now it's a 2-week lead time.
Oh, man.
Who knows what Nintendo's dropping in November.
Bringing Pikmin 4 in 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours. So that's fun. So
yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on this All-Star package.
Yeah, seems like a reasonable deal, right?
Good thing my birthday is in April.
So they said it's like a limited quantity release where there's going to be a physical run and it's going to be available on the Switch eShop digitally, but only until the end of March 2021. So this game will be up for sale for 6 months, and then the way they phrase it, seemingly no longer after that.
And I thought, that's fine. People just ought to get it while it's hot. But then you were like, it's a digital product.
Right. There is no supply to exhaust. It has infinite supply.
Yeah, imagine if there was like some digital art you wanted to buy and they were like sold out and it's just a PNG sitting in a server.
Right. It's a totally arbitrary decision.
It is arbitrary.
So we have to think, like, what is the reason for this? Because I think there's a strong incentive to just leave it up for sale. Even if Nintendo never discounts the game, it's always full price. You could just leave it up for sale digitally in perpetuity. These are like older games that have proven to be like timeless classics. The interest to buy them will always be there.
But yeah, I mean, tell Disney that same thing.
So, okay,
I think
you're making
this
a
pricing
comparison.
model has proven successful in history.
You're drawing a comparison to the Disney Vault.
Yeah.
Where certain Disney movies will cycle in and out of availability.
Right.
Even though they could just be digital products.
Yeah.
And you're saying that has worked out well for Disney?
Oh, yeah.
Because whenever something new comes out of the vault, it's like sells like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say you suspect this will stop being sold in March, and then a year later it's like back on store shelves?
Because
that would strike me as just really weird.
Maybe no, not a year later. No,
longer.
Yeah, longer.
Like the successor to the Switch gets this again.
Yeah, maybe it's generational.
But why do you think this game? Why doesn't all Nintendo first parties go through this like rotating cycle?
Because it's the classics.
It's the classics.
Yeah, you can't buy it's the 10th anniversary of Aladdin. So it's a classic at this point. So you're gonna shell out for this classic because we put it back in the vault when the thing's over.
Okay, so like this is the 35th anniversary of Mario. See you later on the 40th anniversary.
Not the 40th, but like when the Switch 2 comes out in 2.5 years.
Okay. So clearly this
it's very
like,
anti-consumer.
It's anti-consumer. The incentive is like it's FOMO, right? It's the fear of missing out. It worked, to their credit, it worked on me. I pre-ordered the game physically because I wanted to make sure I got it since there's going to be a limited run.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I'm supporting a business practice I really hate because I love waiting to buy games like years down the road. And that's just not an option with this game. And I think about think of all the kids who are opening a Switch Christmas 2021 who just will never have the option of getting this game.
Yeah. I mean,
Like any Switch owner who buys a Switch after March of next year never even got a shot at getting this.
Unless they buy pre-owned.
Yes, unless they buy pre-owned, but they made it sound like it's going to be a lower physical run than usual, which means, okay, this is going to be a scalper's paradise.
Oh, that sucks.
They're practically just, by this announcement, they've made this a collector's item to some extent.
Which is kind of what you want for your age-old IP.
I guess, but I think they just sell more if they just left it up on store shelves.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Nothing about this sits well with me, but I'm also a sheep who bought into it. So take what I say with a grain of salt.
I'm over here standing up for my fiscal values, even though it's mostly because I don't want to play Sunshine.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never played Sunshine before, so I'm kind of hyped for that.
The only thing I like from Sunshine is Delfino Plaza music and Metal Mario music. You know what I'm referencing, right?
Yeah.
The Metal Mario theme. Do you know it?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. You shaking your head, yes. And I was like, there's no way. It starts out sort of like the Star Power thing where it's like, but then it's also like the instrumentations, it's like these orchestra hits. You know what I mean by orchestra hit? This is a non sequitur. So a lot of 80s pop musicians would use these Stravinsky orchestra hits as an instrument. So the Metal Mario soundtrack does like this dump bump bump dump bump 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 dump dump dump, but it's like these really like high energy orchestra hits.
Okay.
I'll use it for transition music.
Gotcha. So let's wash our hands of this story. Like you said, the word that came to mind for this was scummy.
Yes.
And I've got a short, tiny one to close on, Heath, for news anyway.
Sure.
Hey, Nvidia announced their new generation of graphics cards.
The RTX 3090 1080p. Like, how much more exciting is this than my graphics card?
So this is the RTX 3000 series. This is the second generation of cards that have incorporated ray tracing into them.
Okay, ray tracing is what makes the Minecraft look good.
Yes, very pretty reflections, really pretty light effects.
Bloom and subsurface scattering.
Control apparently uses it very well. That's Remedy's game.
Yeah.
So the last generation, the ones that introduced RTX, that being ray tracing.
Is that what RTX stands for? Ray Tracing X?
I think so.
No way, Chris.
The RTX cards do ray tracing.
That's because it's like landmark feature.
Yeah.
Could I be have I ray traced?
No, so you and I...
That should be the title. Have I ray traced?
I have not. I don't think you have. We both have like 1000 series cards,
yeah.
which were the generation right before it was introduced.
Okay.
The 2000 series that introduced ray tracing were a bad value proposition. Like the price to performance ratio, icky. These ones, ooh, hot, spicy.
Bang for your buck.
Bang for your buck, exactly. From the previous gen, the RTX 2080 Ti, that was the flagship card. It was the best on the market. It retailed for $1,200.
Whoa.
The new budget version in the 3000 line, it's the 3070. It retails for $500. It beats the previous flagship.
Thank goodness.
And then everything above that is even better and better performance.
So these are consoles. The money that you could spend on a PS5
is equivalent to a graphics card.
Wow, Chris.
They're pricey.
Who are we pitching this to?
Enthusiast PC gamers.
These are the cooladiest.
I'm considering going after one of these.
Please do. I want to see it.
Pre-orders open up in September, rolling into October. I think they're going to be limited because demand is high. So I'm gonna try to get one. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Oh boy.
The fun thing that ended the conference was Nvidia's CEO, Jensen, who was presenting. He was doing it from his kitchen, right? And then to end the conference, he turned around and said, "Hey, we've had one other card baking for a while." Reaches into his oven and pulls out the new flagship card, the 3090. So that was a fun gag. This graphics card, this new flagship, is huge. It's like literally the size of a meatloaf. It's gigantic. Like I think you need like a specialty motherboard to plug it in.
Really? Oh.
It's beefy.
Mine's big, isn't it? You can look in the window right there.
I can see it. It's dwarfed by this.
Oh my gosh, I'm emasculated.
I know. So yeah.
By Jensen's big log, anyway.
By his huge package.
Yeah.
Okay, that was all the news we've had recently.
Okay.
All right, so we'll take another break, and when we come back, I have a game to end on.
This is a great surprise. I wasn't ready for this.
Well, you'll need to get ready fast, because you're in the guessing chair, Heath.
Sweet.
See you then.
And we're back.
And we're back. So, Heath, I was workshopping names for this game I made for you. It's a guessing game of sorts. I was thinking maybe something like Second Opinion, or I think I'm partial to Against the Grain. So what this is, I have a list of 8 games I'm going to pull up on my phone. They're all 2020 games that have already released. These have been out for a while. And what I did was I logged onto Metacritic.com and I was looking at these games and I pulled them up one by one and looked. So Metacritic, if you don't know, it's a site that compiles critics' reviews. These are like review articles about games made by video game outlets. And I sorted them and I went down. I scrolled all the way down, went to the lowest rated critical reviews for each of these 8 respective games. And then I cherry picked a paragraph from each review that I thought was like the most fun or could clue you into what the game is. I'm picking like what the critics had to say who disagreed with popular consensus. These are generally good reviewed games, but I chose the worst reviews and wanted to see what they had to say. And your job, Heath, is to, after I read you the paragraph from the review, see if you can guess what game it's talking about. I went ahead and censored any like overt mentions of the game's title or like protagonist names.
Donkey Kong wasn't that bad. Yeah.
So that would give it away. And there's 8 of these, so if you could guess them all, that would give you a perfect 8 points. I don't know if you want to incorporate this rule. If I read you the paragraph and you have no idea, I could optionally give you 2 more bits of information. I could tell you the title of the review article, which could help you narrow it down. I could also give you the game's Metacritic score. If you need those hints, though, I'm going to make you only earn half a point instead of a whole point. Let's dig into this. First game review snippet. For each unique creation, there are, of course, a couple more dubious and unplayable. However, we cannot help but fall into violent laughter when we find Mario eating spaghetti. Let me say that again. Mario eating spaghetti ASMR. An experience that is just as comical as it sounds. But that is exactly why we are also hesitant to recommend blank to exactly everyone. The pleasure of the news settles quickly for those who do not have time to mess with the blank project full time. After a few days, we've seen all the Super Mario clones available. End of snippet.
Okay.
So all of these games are from 2020.
Yeah, I know what game it is. The listener might think because of that last bit that you've seen all the clones available, that maybe it was Mario Maker 2, because that came out this year, didn't it?
I think it was last year.
Oh, just maybe like tail end of last year. But it's not that. This, and that's funny, Mario ASMR spaghetti, they would just be like,
Mario eating spaghetti ASMR.
That's a meatball, yeah. And it had to be by like a child, because the only people that are playing this game are like children.
Yeah.
Who are working on their basically their game dev skills, because
What game is this?
This is Dreams.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
The PlayStation
The Sony,
exclusive.
Yeah. It was an interesting game.
Right. It's practically its own game engine, which we talked about earlier. But it's like a very accessible one. All right. That game, if you were wondering, on Metacritic has an 89. Very high.
Yeah,
what do you think the reviewers scored this game? Just for fun.
Oh, just because he's kind of critical of it's like there's no quality assurance, and it's just a clunky kind of sandbox. Probably high 60s.
He gave it a 60 flat.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Moving on. Next game. Blank's suite of abilities, coupled with the tightness of the controls, makes Blank especially tactile to play. It stuffs your hands with things to do. Though I've been impressed by the breadth of its level design, the game's visuals have left me feeling ambivalent. I love the art style of Blank, which drew inspiration from the animated films of Hayao Miyazaki. However, Blank has struck me as sometimes beautiful and sometimes overblown, like a fantasy calendar from the analog days.
Okay.
This one's harder.
Stuffs your hands with things to do.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to make that out to be an actual character whose hands are physically like an Octodad kind of like things to actually grab?
He likes your suite of abilities. He calls it very tactile to play.
And then he was saying how it looks pretty, like a Miyazaki film.
Yeah,
that's not Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, at the end he says, sometimes the visuals are beautiful, sometimes they are overblown, like a fantasy calendar.
Can't be Ghost of Tsushima, because that game looks great all the time.
It is a real looker.
So I want the Metacritic score then.
All right.
And if this gets like low 90s, then it is Ghost.
So I'll give you 2 bits of info. This game on Metacritic scored a 90, so it's very good. And the title of this review is Blank is an enjoyable sequel, but doesn't build the original's energy.
Oh, enjoyable sequel.
But doesn't build the original's energy.
Okay.
So Ghost is a new franchise.
It's a new franchise.
That's ruled out.
Oh, blown out visuals?
Overblown.
Oh, this is Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal, which, is a sequel, is...
You love the suite of abilities.
Very tactile.
Uh-huh, yeah. Doom Eternal.
It's not Doom Eternal.
No.
Yeah, maybe I could have made this one a little more forgiving.
No, I was on the right track.
This game is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh.
So
what was the first game?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Oh my God, yes.
The fact that this guy took issue with the game's visuals is actually kind of crazy to me.
Outrageous,
Because that game's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What do you think he gave this game in his review score?
Oh, he gave it, well, he had nice things to say, so I'm going to say like 75.
He gave it a 70 flat.
Man, okay.
All right, moving on. This one I particularly enjoy. Okay. This game's review said, but the cracks add up, allowing an ugly reality to seep into an otherwise friendly fantasy. The game inadvertently becomes about the cost and upkeep of civilization, about what actions we're willing to turn a blind eye towards, just as long as things keep running smoothly. And through that solipsistic lens, even the most innocuous actions begin to look less like the incidental elements of a simulated life and more plainly transactional.
Whoa.
So this was a wordy one. Yeah. I like this guy's vocab.
Yeah, solipsistic, is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
A solipsistic lens.
Okay. The cracks add up. What game has cracks? Okay. Go ahead and read, and I'll stop you again.
The game inadvertently becomes about the cost and upkeep of civilization, about what actions we're willing to turn a blind eye toward, just as long as things keep running smoothly. And through that solipsistic lens...
Solipsistic, dude.
Solipsistic lens, even the most innocuous actions begin to look less like incidental elements of a simulated life and more plainly transactional.
No way. Is this Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah. Why would you write such a virulent trash piece? Wow. Like, listen to this guy.
I like this guy's
what
girl,
he has to say. Who is it?
I'm sorry, I don't have the author's name with me.
Rip. But anyway, that person was just taking like the most dark Kafka-esque.
Yeah. This cheery, bright kids game.
I like to sell my oranges to my friend who has apples.
I like how he's like, suddenly...
It's a transaction, but still.
Yeah, how every action you take suddenly becomes like just a means to an end.
That's funny.
So Animal Crossing New Horizons has a 90 on Metacritic. What do you think this guy gave it?
Well, if you're going to use that flowery language... Wait, the first word was but, so they had nice things to say.
True.
So you can't be insane and give it something like a 50. So we'll give it a 60 as well.
He actually gave it a 75.
Yeah, okay.
He was pretty favorable.
Very favorable, yeah.
All right. This one's great. Here we go. This is
fun. I like this. We're halfway there.
Yeah. A month later, she was pregnant. 8 months after that, she gave birth. I see the usual window pop up describing the delivery. There's some descriptive text and the standard options to help choose a name for the newborn child. Something's different, though. I noticed there are 2 new character portraits instead of 1. It takes me a moment. She's given birth to twins. This is a goddamn miracle. Then I notice something else is different. My wife doesn't quite look herself. She's grimacing, as if she's in pain. My heart sinks as I look back through the descriptive text.
She died in
and
childbirth,
finally
right?
Read what happened. She died during labor.
Yeah. This is Crusader Kings? Or no, which game is out there that it looks like Europa Universalis?
The most recent Paradox game? Crusader Kings 3.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, that's a royal family management kind of type. Yeah, that one.
You got it.
Yeah, I nailed it.
This is Crusader Kings 3, which just came out to amazing reviews. It has a 91 on Metacritic. What do you think this guy who gave birth to twins gave it in his review?
I mean, he didn't have that bad of a take, so it wasn't critical. So I'm gonna say like 80.
He gave it an 80, actually. Yeah, the worst review was an 80.
Wow, which just goes to show
how great this game is. Yeah. All right. This next one, forgive any poor grammar. It was actually written in Chinese. I used Google Translate to get the English.
Interesting.
The open mod community and active third-party developers will continue to contribute ideas and continue to contribute to the authenticity of this world in the foreseeable future. All this makes blank enough to become a better global sightseeing software than Google Earth.
Oh, okay.
If we humans suddenly establish contact with aliens, this game might be an excellent gift from the human traders to aliens in exchange for prosperity. The technical achievements of this work are enough to be remembered by people in the entire history of video games. The only problem is, as a game, it is not fun at all.
Yeah. I agree. It's not that fun.
What game do you think this is?
This is Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's funny, though, that the reviewer is like, if we get abducted,
we could give this as a peace offering.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that has a 92 on Metacritic. What do you think this Chinese outlet reviewed the game as?
Oh, if they thought it was not fun, it's probably approaching 50.
You would think that. But apparently this game that is not fun at all got a 70.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Yeah, they loved it.
All right, we're in the final 3 here.
I'm crushing it.
You are, yeah. Only that tough Ori and the Will of the Wisps got you. All right, this one could be tough.
Okay.
See if we'll ruin your good day. The first prong here, as the subtle monotony of Soviet-era interior design begins to weigh you down, is the needle finding above. The hallways are narrow, most of the doors knobless, and your only reason for heading in the wrong direction down this largely linear path is to find an extra shotgun shell or some resin.
Ooh. So, what's like a first-person Soviet...
Yes, Soviet-era interior design.
Uh-huh. There wasn't a Metro game released recently.
Nope, 2019 was the most recent.
Yeah, so it's not that.
Super linear, scavenging for ammo. Doors are knobless.
I'm pretty sure there's doorknobs in Resident Evil.
Assuredly, yeah.
And that it takes place in America.
Yes.
Or like fake America, like Raccoon City.
Raccoon City.
Yeah. Most of the doors are knobless. What a grasping at straws criticism. Unless that's like the thing to have in this game. Soviet.
The knobless doors
thing.
I have heard brought up as a criticism to this game in other contexts as well, actually.
What? What are we talking about?
That might not help you, but it's something that's not useless.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna need a hint to get closer.
Okay.
Unless that hint's just too... if it's going to give it away, don't give it to me.
No, this one doesn't have a good hint.
Damn. All right, let me just guess then.
I could just tell you, because the name of this review was just title the review. I could tell you what its Metacritic score is.
Sure.
It got a 93.
Oh my God.
So
this is...
critical acclaim.
This is... Last of Us?
You're thinking this is Last of Us Part 2?
That doesn't take place in Soviet. But what other game scored that well?
Right, not many. Very few.
So do Last of Us.
A good guess.
Part 2.
A good guess. This is actually Half-Life Alyx.
Of course it's first person. It's a VR game.
Yeah.
You need to grasp the knob.
Yeah, I've heard people complain how, like, when you're in this immersive reality, the only doors you can interact with actually have knobs on them.
Mm-hmm. The rest are decorative.
The rest are just like a flat asset.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Dang. Okay, that takes place in Russia?
Soviet
Or
era
just like
block.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it literally takes place in Russia or not, but I think it like evokes that look.
Okay. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
What do you think the reviewer gave Half-Life Alyx? In his review?
He's having issue with the controls, maybe he gave it like a high 70s.
He gave it a 60.
Whoa. Ooh, a pariah.
Yeah. Also, the highest wasn't 93. 93 was the average.
Yeah, that game crushed it.
Yeah. Moving on. From this next game's review. I just wish it had the story to match. In trying to subvert expectations, Blank discards the best aspects of its predecessor to provide a rote revenge tale that is ill-considered, ending on a note that makes everything, all the violence, all the loss, all the struggle, feel utterly, hopelessly pointless.
Bada bing. You know, I when you said revenge story, I was already on the mark, and then as soon as it said all the violence, nailed it, didn't I?
You did not.
What? It's not Doom Eternal?
This is not Doom Eternal.
Read the thing again.
I just wish it had the story to match. And trying to subvert expectations.
Oh, okay.
Blank discards the best aspects of its predecessor to provide a rote revenge tale that is ill-considered, ending on a note that makes everything, all the violence, all the loss, all the struggle feel utterly and hopelessly pointless.
Oh, it's Last of Us Part 2.
This is The Last of Us Part 2.
No!
With a 93 on Metacritic.
I heard violence and I got so ready.
Another very violent game. I think the only thing separating this from like Doom would be this trying to subvert expectations part.
Yeah, and Doom guy becomes an Animal Crossing villager.
What do you think?
But we had those expectations.
What do you think this review scored the game?
This one...
Title of this review, by the way, was Subpar Subversion.
Well, weren't the first initial reviews super critical, and then it plateaued back to...
I can't say for sure. I know like most of them loved it.
Most of them loved it.
This guy was like the sole denier.
Okay, we'll do like 75 again.
This guy was a 65.
Wow.
Pretty harsh.
Like a failing grade.
All right. Last but not least, Heath.
Okay, Doom Eternal.
If you're going to spend over 100 hours with the game, blank is absolutely the better investment.
Animal Crossing?
But then, you'd absolutely be missing out on the charm the original had to offer. Sure, the original story wasn't great to begin with. First and foremost, it failed to actually examine the systems of oppression it shallowly claimed to criticize. But blank takes it to the next level and bogs it down with even more surface-level nonsense while taking away what little catharsis it had to offer. This one is tough as well.
I'm getting, like, Detroit Become Human vibes.
Oh, yeah. Surface-level criticisms.
Don't you wish? Yeah, that sounds great.
First sentence can't be ignored. If you're going to spend over 100 hours with the game, blank is absolutely the better investment.
Oh my gosh. What game would cost that much money?
Not that much money. Spend over 100 hours with a game.
Oh, excuse me. Hours. Excuse me.
Not dollars.
Yeah, you're right. Probably a games as a service type. But what does like social commentary and fits that profile?
Fails to actually examine systems of oppression it shallowly claims to criticize.
Right. Ooh. Outer Worlds.
Not going to count that because it came out last year.
Oh, damn. But Outer Worlds has like
long game.
Consumer, like they criticize corporatism.
Right. But at the same time, you're still like upgrading your weapons and like getting skills and skill trees.
Yeah.
So kind of a shallow critique. Yeah, that tracks. I get where you're coming
100 hours. Well, like Fallout 76 would be 100 hours.
Yeah, but that's from years ago.
Bro, I'm living in the past, clearly. What games came out this year?
So this game, Heath, is actually the highest reviewed game so far this year. It has a 95 on Metacritic.
We already touched Last of Us and Half-Life Alyx.
Yep, those are over. This scored higher.
This is the highest scoring
game of 2020.
Of 2020 so far? And it's not Ghosts of Tsushima?
It's not.
What? This is the highest rated game of this year.
But it's also not one that easily springs to mind because it'll be evident why when you hear what it is. This is an important sentence. It's this game is absolutely the better investment, but then you'd absolutely be missing out on the charm the original had to offer.
Right. The original being social justice. What had charm originally? Me.
Here's a freebie. It released in 2020 if we're going by Western release dates.
Oh. But if we go by Japan, it's already been out.
Yes. Yeah. It came out last year in Japan.
Oh. Persona 5 the Royale?
Persona 5 Royal. That is the game.
Yeah, Royal. Thank you. Yeah, okay. That's the highest scoring game of this year?
It is.
Then it was the highest scoring game of last year.
In Japan, maybe?
What was the highest scoring game of last year? Divinity Original Sin 2.
Okay.
Tie with Red Dead.
The Switch port.
Tie with Resident 2. Okay. But this year is Persona 5 Royal. Oh. I nailed it.
You got it.
You had to spoon feed it, but
I don't know. Just telling you it had a Western release date. Well, it wasn't too much of a hint.
okay. But yeah, totally forgettable.
Right, yeah, because it's a game that's...
It came out end of March.
Okay, end of March. March 31st.
The very end. Okay.
So you fared really well, Heath. The only two you messed up were
Ori
and
Last of Us.
both of which you thought were Doom Eternal.
That's a fun running gag, I guess. I love guessing games. That was fun.
Good.
I liked being able to be right.
Yeah. Hopefully our listeners were able to play along and know some of them.
It was tricky though. We're a cutting edge current events podcast.
Yeah.
But I can't help but do non sequiturs to years that I think are more memorable.
Sure. Yeah. There have definitely been droughts in 2020 in terms of game releases.
Hooray.
Well, that was a podcast, Heath.
Next episode, we'll have content.
Oh yeah, we'll have so much. We'll be swimming in content.
I gotta just crush Witcher. I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not letting Witcher 3 go into 2021.
Okay.
It's gonna be this year.
Here, let's clarify something here and now, which I can go either way on this, Heath. Like no pressure.
Oh,
The reason Witcher 3 is one of the games on your docket is it's a leftover consequence of our previous Game Awards bet, right?
yeah.
In which you picked 3 games, I picked 3 games, you lost. So I think at the time we said, you're going to be playing 2 games, I'm going to be playing 1 of your games.
Right.
And I think you were probably going to play like Witcher and maybe Dishonored or something. Do you still have intentions of playing 2 of the 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was going to offer an out. You could.
Oh my gosh.
You would only have to play 1 of the 3, but
Chris
then
is
I would have to drop my responsibilities. I would no longer have to play Fallout or The Fall, or I think he switched it up to playing like a Tom Clancy Splinter Cell game.
Please play Splinter Cell.
Which Splinter Cell was it? Blacklist?
Conviction.
Conviction. All right, so what would you prefer? Do you still want high stakes? Both of us are in the ring?
High stakes.
All right.
Chris, you take advantage of the easy mode in games too often. Life isn't easy. I'm not going to back out.
All right, I'll play Fallout.
Ask me again in November.
Okay, we can revisit that question in November. Also, listeners, you should write to us. Send us your emails at the email address MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com.
That's MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com.
We like to read every single one within reason on the air.
We'll read it.
There is an engineer follow-up, but I'm not going to read it. I'm not reading it. I can't do it. You win, Justin, the electrical engineer. I can't take it anymore.
Dang.
And that's it for episode 48.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.